Seems like it might be over for the Atlanta Falcons after their dreadful performance last week against the Carolina Panthers. A 30-0 defeat, but they're coming home. They're coming home. Tell the world they're coming home. They're actually an underdog against Washington. We're not actually sure who the quarterback is for Washington, Joe, but due to some spread lines here, does it even matter who the quarterback for Washington is, huh?
Amen, Donnie. I mean, the Falcons getting a lot of attention after being embarrassed by Carolina last week. And then we're hearing all sorts of shakeup there in the coaching room. There is the wide receiver coach gets fired. They put in a new passing game coordinator and so on and so forth. And we're only through 3 weeks of the regular season. So we watched Washington open up as a 2.5-point favorite. We have seen nothing but Atlanta money all week, dropping this number down to -1 now. And to me, forget about the side. I think the under is the way to look. Why? Because that offense is atrocious at the Falcons. They are the only team, Donnie, left in the National Football League that is 3-0 to the full game under, 3-0 to the first half under, and 3-0 to the second half under here. Hard to buy Atlanta. Too much finger pointing there. I'm looking to back our Washington in this one here.
Going deep into the weeds here, last week you saw an absolute blowout victory for the Seattle Seahawks going up against the New Orleans Saints. Uh-oh, look who's on deck, the Buffalo Bills, and over 2 touchdowns on this spread line, Joe. What gives here?
Donnie, it's week 4. We're still in September. And we already have a game in which one team is more than a 2-touchdown underdog on the card. I mean, usually we have to wait until at least October rolls around before we see this kind of crazy spread action here. But that's not the case in Buffalo. The Saints come into Orchard Park. And are we really sure the Bills are that good and the Saints are that bad right now after 3 weeks? Given the injuries to the Bills' defensive side of the ball. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Sean McDermott, 2-9 against the number as a double-digit favorite with the Bills since 2022. I've got my doubts the Bills care about winning this game by double digits. All the trends point to taking the points, Donnie, and that is exactly what I'm doing. I'll be grabbing them with the Saints this week.
By the way, real quick, if the producers can hear me in the background, can we get that game board back up for that game between the Buffalo Bills and the Saints? Because our smart projections, look at smart projections, Joe. Buffalo by 7. You're getting a free 8.5 points right there. Look at that. Oh, boy, we could be in for one this weekend in Orchard Park. But also, let's go down south to Tampa. Heat, humidity is going to creep in. It's been a house of horrors the past few years. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the Philadelphia Eagles in Tampa. Let's take a look at this spread line between the Eagles and the Bucs, where the Eagles are the favorites this weekend, heading down, Joe.
Yeah, well, a shocker. Eagles are a favorite and the hook is available. The problem is the matchup here, not great for Jalen Hurts and company here. Why? Well, Jalen Hurts isn't great against the blitz, and the Bucs are one of the most blitz-heavy teams in the NFL. In fact, Jalen Hurts, and you know this, has not fared well against Todd Bowles in his career, only averaging about 5.3 yards per pass play in games against his defenses. Oh, yeah, and the Bucs, they're getting back Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs, their left tackle who led the NFL in pass blocking last season. We've seen this line open and remain at -3.5 for the Eagles as a road favorite. The problem is, well, why isn't that line moving since all the tickets and the money are on the Eagles here? To me, I think there is significant sharp money. Grabbing that hook while you can, which is what I'm suggesting. This line will drop to a field goal before kickoff.
What Joe's really trying to tell you, he loves the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend. Bet him with all your heart to easily cover that number. I'm not going to hear anything that he just said about that latest headlines, spread lines. We give it to you all right here on the early line. It's what we do on a Football Friday. Our goal is to get you ready for this weekend's action. And sometimes in the NFL, they just lay it out for you, Joe, on a platter. And they say Sunday night football. I don't know if we're going to get a really good football team in the Dallas Cowboys, but we will be watching. Why? Because Micah Parsons was traded from the Green Bay Packers just before the start of the season. Oh, no, Dallas, what are you doing here? Jerry told you that it was going to be a much better team that you had. Jerry Jones was wrong. Dallas looks terrible right now. Let's set this game up. Dallas at home as 7-point underdogs at a majority of outlets here. Some still showing the 6.5. A total of 47.5. You're not going to have CeeDee Lamb this weekend. So it's George Pickens and Dak Prescott. Oh, how'd they fare last week against the Bears? Not good at all. The Green Bay Packers, fresh off a loss, will be motivated, and nobody will be more motivated than their all-world, all-pro defensive end / outside linebacking pass rusher in Micah Parsons. What happens on Sunday night, Joe Raineri?
Yeah, well, what happens is, guess where the spotlight is going to be? It's going to be in Big D on Dallas. And nobody, and I mean nobody, has been better at making sure, for good or bad, Donnie, doesn't make a difference, as long as they're in the spotlight, and they are in the spotlight, Dallas here, with Parsons playing for the other side. Now, listen, I still think, Donnie, I still think the jury is out on whether or not in a couple of years we're going to look back and say, you know what, this might have been the worst situation and trade that Jerry's ever, not pulled off. But I still think there's time on that. In the meantime, this is one of those things. Would it shock me if the Packers go in there and blow out the Cowboys? No. But what else wouldn't shock me? The Cowboys making this a very competitive game up against Micah Parsons as well. So I just think the overreaction here with Packers are going to bounce back. They're going to run them over. This is where it gets a little tricky, Donnie, this time of the year. It's not like the Cowboys are going to roll over because Mike is in town.
Exactly. Come on now, Jordan Love. What are you going to be able to step up? But also understand this. Like, if we go through the evolution of the offseason for Dallas, it was always assumed that Micah and Dallas have a deal worked out. Just something with the language. They're angry at each other. They'll get this worked out. And the reason I bring that up is, Joe, because I do think the season trajectory could have been different if you had made this trade, let's just say, before the draft, and you picked up a couple new players, or if you made it just after the draft and right around free agency, say, okay, like, we can answer these questions now in May. We're going to go to training camp. Everything's going to be fine. June, July, August. Micah Parsons has been gone for a long time. This is the team we're taking out to battle. But then you trade Micah Parsons like a week before the season, answer these questions. Jerry loves the move. The Dallas fans can't stand the move. And here we are with the Dallas Cowboys season already in peril after getting hammered last week and getting injured with CeeDee Lamb. So this game lines up to me, and I say, all right, maybe is it a last stand? Is Jerry telling these guys this week, don't you dare embarrass me? And Micah Parsons is definitely going to want to get a sack this weekend. But also, players have to score, Joe. The touchdown market that we're going to take a look at, Josh Jacobs, minus 250 to get into the end zone. Everybody else after him is at a plus money. You know my theory on touchdown props. You show me a minus 250, that tells me the books don't you want you to bet them. First half touchdown, Josh Jacobs for me on Sunday Night Football.
Well, and Pickens has got to get one, right? I mean, he's going to get all of those targets that would have went to CeeDee Lamb. So you got to think that Pickens has got to be a guy that's got to get involved here in a big, big way. And I think it's going to have to be the passing games. But also, I guess, Jalen Williams would not be a shocker either, because they can't be one-dimensional, Dallas, and be a sitting duck in this spot.
No, certainly can't do that. And by the way, just bringing up some things, take a look at this tweet that we have here from Sleeper Packers. The Green Bay Packers have never lost when playing in the Cowboys AT&T Stadium. The Packers have a record of 6-0 when playing in that stadium, including the Super Bowl where they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. How about that? Might as well make it a home game for the Packers, Joe.
Oh, they'll be their share of Packer fans, trust me, in that building there, Donnie, no doubt. But again, Jerry's good at making sure all eyeballs are on the Dallas Cowboys. And guess what? They will be all over the Dallas Cowboys in this game as well.
Now, Dak hurt me last week, Joe. He really did. I needed 2 touchdown passes. He got one in the first half, which went to George Pickens, and nothing at all from the Dallas Cowboys in the second half. Dak Prescott's passing prop total is a 237.5, and to throw 2 touchdowns in this game, a plus 116 price. It was like a minus 140 to minus 150 last week to where you were shopping at. But also understand this. You know that with the trade of Micah Parsons, what was Jerry Jones telling us both behind the scenes and in front of the camera? I trust Dak Prescott, and we're going to be a better football team with more money under the cap. Dak didn't look so good last week, and now he doesn't have CeeDee Lamb. Expectations for Dak Prescott for you, Joe, on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, well, Dak Prescott's going to have to throw the ball. I think they also, it would benefit them to try to play keep away as best as possible here. So I'm expecting maybe a little slower tempo, Donnie. Dak taking what the defense will give him, get the ball out of his hands quickly, and let's see, we're going to, get it to your playmakers and let them make a play. Even without CeeDee Lamb, the offense was never a problem for us, Donnie, going into the season. We knew Dallas was going to be able to score. The question was, were they going to be able to stop anybody? And, oh, yeah, by the way, a couple of starting offensive linemen down for the Packers already. So let's see if this is the week the Cowboys defense can finally make it interesting.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on, too. Tom's one of the better offensive linemen in the league. He's been trying to work his way back, but that's a big deal because even though we don't love the Dallas Cowboys defense here, he still can be able to penetrate through that offensive line and also understand this. It's not the same defense that they, talking about Green Bay, saw last week going up against the Browns, but it is a home game and a team in a must-win situation. Let's flip it over to the wide receiver position, Joe, because you're right. George Pickens now takes center stage. He's performed very well in Pittsburgh, but also at the same time, when things aren't going his way, he checks out. But he leads the game right now in the odds market at 61.5 receiving yards. The next closest is Jake Ferguson, a teammate of 53.5. So the expectations are Dallas is still going to throw the football and a lot more targets going around since CeeDee Lamb won't play in this game. How do we feel about guys like George Pickens, touchdown, receiving prop, receptions? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, we talked about the anytime TD touchdown. I got no problem with that. But again, the good thing about him or playing a prop like over his yardage situation or even attempts, right, or receptions, he's got to be a target because he is a guy in two plays that can take you down the field and score. They need that big threat, that big hitting weapon that can take it to the house. That's who he is. So if I'm Dak in that offense, I'm trying to put him in a spot to make a play, let him use his athletic ability. I think over 61.5, not a bad look there here in this one.
Yeah, interested to see how it does play out, but also the one thing that we are looking forward to is Micah Parsons is coming home to Dallas here. Now, let me ask you this, because as an ownership group, right, things got a little bit hairy down the stretch and maybe some things were said, but, Micah Parsons was very good for the Dallas Cowboys, enjoyed his time, and did want to be a Dallas Cowboy until things got squirrely with the contract issues. He gets traded to Green Bay now coming back. They say, the Dallas Cowboys show, they are not going to play a video montage welcoming Micah Parsons back. Does that add more fuel to the fire? And if you were Jerry Jones, would you say, you know what? Let's honor the guy. It's a minute video here. We'll give him a standing ovation, and we can finally all move forward. Because as you saw with Luka Doncic returning back, things sometimes don't work out well because your fans were upset about this.
Yeah, well, I know, especially given the fact of all those Super Bowl championships that Micah helped them win there. I mean, honestly, it just legendary. And stop, please. There is nothing to montage about him except for, you know what? Put a montage of all the postseason games he played in for the Cowboys and he went MIA. That'd be great. Or every game he missed there in his please stop it. Acting like this guy is Emmitt Smith or Charles Haley. Like, no, he's not. So there'll be a time down the road to do that, Donnie. This ain't the time.
Trying to check around right now to some other outlets here to take a look at some of those sack props. Last week, Micah Parsons was over a $220 price to get a sack. He didn't, but I had Rashawn Gary to get a sack. He actually got 2 sacks. So I'm going to ask you this question, Joe. Are we going to get a sack out of Parsons, huh? Sack this weekend?
Oh,
huh?
You know it. They're bringing the house, and he's going to be a big part of it.
They're bringing the house. We're bringing in Tom Vecchio next. Let's get some best bets on the board for a Football Friday. It's a Football Friday on the early line right here on the SportsGrid Network. And yes, I guess you could say it's a golfing Friday as well, as we are underway at the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black, just outside the confines of New York City. We'll keep you updated when we get some highlights there a little bit later in the show. But it's time to talk some football and better your knowledge. Donnie Rightside, Joe Raineri, has welcomed in Tom Vecchio, the jack of all trades here at the SportsGrid Network. Nice night last night on a Thursday night football game. But our job here, Tom, to preview what's going to happen this weekend. How we feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Yesterday's game was, pretty good, all things considered. It started off super slow, but we got some points when it's all said and done. Trey Benson came through on the under. I'm ready to roll for the weekend.
Blowout alert, Tom. Orchard Park, New York. You saw by the way, the New Orleans Saints. Can you have a worse schedule? You start out at home and say, okay, then we're going to fly to Pacific Northwest, get absolutely hammered, fly back to New Orleans, then fly back up to Buffalo and be 15.5-point underdogs with a total of 48.5, which means, Tom, maybe we don't have to throw the football all that much in the second half, which could play into a key ingredient that you're looking at wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, huh?
Yeah, 15 points, 16 points, whatever it's going to end up closing out for the Bills. This is a massive line when it comes to the NFL. Yeah. And, ultimately, I'm turning to Keon Coleman. I think he's a great talent, but I like him under 3.5 receptions. And maybe it's a game environment. Maybe it's just things overall with Buffalo. But when you look to Buffalo and their target share this year, Keon Coleman leads the team, but he's only at 18%. Dalton Kincaid is at 16. Khalil Shakir is at 15. Josh Palmer's at 13. James Cook is at 9. Even Dawson Knox at 7. There's no one dominant option, combined with the fact that they are double touchdown favorites. Not just double digits, but multiple touchdown favorites.
Yeah.
We have 6 different guys with 3-4 catches. So the fact that we're not sure if he's going to get there based on A, his usage, or B, the game environment, it's all about the under.
Well, it's interesting because there were some head-scratching results a week ago, Tom, and now you're going, all right, so what does that mean this week? And, all right, Carolina, you shut out Atlanta last week. Now you got to take on the Patriots, who doesn't feel like they can stop anybody in the passing game. But what about the running game here?
Yeah, the Pats defense has been surprisingly good, at least from a run perspective, like you said. And, you looked at what they did in week 1 against Genty. They held them to only 38 yards. They held Warren last week to 47. In week 2 against the Dolphins, they held Achane to only 30 yards. Their run defense has been super solid when it's all said and done. So Chuba Hubbard on the side for Carolina, he's a middle-of-the-road running back. Let's just call it what it is. He's not some elite running back that's going to be breaking off these big plays. His long runs this season are 9, 14, and 8 in the 3 games. He's averaging under 4 yards per carry in 2 of those games. I like him under 55.5 for Sunday's game. He needs to have 17 carries or 20 carries in order for me to feel comfortable that he's going to push over to 55 and get to 60, which is the spot that I would want to see if I were taking the over. There's no way I can reasonably bet into the over on a player like Chuba Hubbard. So it's about under 55.5. He just doesn't get there this week.
How about Chargers and the Giants? First start for Jackson Dart. They're getting around 6.5 points, depending where you're shopping. And the total is at 43.5, which means the Chargers. They love to crank up the running game. They want to choke out the New York Giants in the second half. Does that play into something that you like in this game, Tom?
It has to, and what a stretch of games that Jackson Dart is going to be facing, not just this week, but over the coming weeks. I think he has to face the Eagles twice in the next 5 or 6 weeks, whatever it might be, but trial by fire, I guess, for him. When it comes to Chargers, we know that Najee Harris is now done for the season, so, Maureen Hampton, their first-round pick, it's time for him to shine ultimately. And last week, after Najee Harris got hurt in that game, of the running back touches for the Chargers, Amari Hampton saw all of them. Now, we did see Darius Davis with a rushing attempt at one point, but I think Amari Hampton over 16.5 rushing attempts for this week. I don't want to look just at last week, but if we look back to week 1, I think it's important to note that Hampton got 16 carries as a rookie in his rookie debut in a road game, in an international road game. So Harbaugh is at least willing to trust him in a very difficult environment. So I think moving forward, this prop is only going to move up, and up. And I'm going to buy low at 16.5.
Let me ask you this, Tom, because that's an interesting point. Obviously, week 3, the usage rate went through the roof, right? 19 runs there. But he also caught 6 passes, right, from Justin Herbert. So should we be looking at that as well? Maybe one of the props is his passing and rushing, maybe?
Yeah, I would actually prefer rushing, receiving yards combined before I would prefer just receptions. And, frankly, with the Giants, the second most rushing yards allowed per game this season. This is the matchup, right? You want to take the wind out of the Giants' sails with their rookie quarterback making his debut. Don't let him touch the ball. Just dominate the time of possession, run the ball. They're terrible on defense. Spread it around. Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, get everyone to touch the ball and just keep the ball out of Jackson Dart's hands. Not saying he's some massive threat that's going to run up the score, but in order to just mitigate any of that, just give it to Hampton, let him run the ball.
Let me ask you a question about this, because the national game on Sunday, we probably expect could be 2 3-0 teams coming in. 2 1-2 teams, Tom.
Yeah.
That's the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. The total's 48.5 and a favorite for Baltimore. How do you see this game playing out on Sunday? It's really intriguing.
I think the Ravens are the better team. And I want to say, I don't know if it's a cop-out, but I want to say the Ravens win, but they don't cover. And you're like, oh, what kind of circumstances is that? But a 24-23 game, 28-27, that's really where we should be. I think 24-23 is right on, because it puts us right at the over-under number. We're going to be right there in terms of predictable score. Maybe it's a missed extra point to get us to the 23, or just a field goal or a late field goal that one team ends up winning from 21, getting up to 24. But I would be willing to take the under, especially if there's early scoring. So if there's early scoring, a live under. If the live over jumps up to 52, I want to take the under at that point. These teams don't want to get out and score. The Ravens can't stop anyone at this point on defense. They're missing some key pieces. To turn this into a shootout, I think is a wrong option for both teams.
I'll tell you what's not a wrong option. Sunday morning here, right here on the SportsGrid Network, it's going to be Joe Lisi and Tom Vecchio live from studio, an extra extended hour. Because why? Minnesota is taking on Pittsburgh. Any quick previews for Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers, Tom?
DK Metcalf under 50.5 yards.
Ooh. There you go. Overseas action at this point. Tom's going to be in the pilot's chair. Joe Lisi is going to be in that, co-pilot's chair. Make sure you join us here this weekend, because we got college football today on Saturday. Tom Becko and the boys take over on Sunday for an action-packed, action-filled weekend right here on the SportsGrid Network. Tom, thanks for waking up, rising, and grinding with us right here on the early line on a Football Friday. We loved it. Joe Raineri and Donnie Rightside. We'll be right back after this break. Football, more football here. But let's give a quick update here for the Ryder Cup, Joe. I know you have an eye on it right now. Any birdies? What's going on in the first two groups? Do we know?
Well, three groups now off and running here, Donnie. And DeChambeau and Justin Thomas were off the front here, and they are one up still here now through three. And guess who just made a birdie putt on the second to get it back to all square? Scotty Scheffler and Russell Henley. And now Morikawa and Harris English taking on Rory and Tommy Fleetwood. Looks like they just halved the first hole. They're on their way to the second tee box.
USA. Any big things happen, we'll keep you updated, because that's what we do on the SportsGrid Network, live and in motion here. That's how we get down. And also, which includes a preview for more of those Sunday NFL games, which we just talked with Tom Vecchio. Jackson Dart's going to get his first career start for the New York Giants. It's a new era for the Giants, and maybe it's still going to be in those losing ways. Can't you get 4 wins this year to cash in a ticket for your boy DRS? We'll get to that down the line, but they're going to take on Justin Herbert and the Chargers 6 to 6.5, depending on where you're shopping at. How do we think Jackson Dart's going to do in his NFL debut?
Well, my plan of attack in this game is, and I think, listen, if you're the Giants, any sort of boost right now is a good thing, because offensively, it's been awful. And it's not that the Giants defense, I think, has been terrible, Donnie. It's just that I think they have been put in terrible positions because of the lack of an offense that they have seen. Take out the Cowboys game. Everyone is going to throw 500 yards against that Dallas Cowboys defense. But the first game and the third game for the Giants, it just not good. The defense was on the field entirely too long. I think the boost for him in this game comes in the first half, Donnie, with the Giants, right? Because let's face it, Harbaugh and company, they haven't seen him, but then at the half, they're going to have to make some adjustments with them. So I think maybe the element of surprise and the adrenaline alone, short week for the Chargers, might make the Giants a pretty good bet, getting 3.5 points in that first half.
It's going to be interesting to watch it play out, because you don't know how they're going to use Jackson Dart here. But if I give you one bet, Joe, yes or no, over or under 189.5 passing yards for Jackson Dart in his debut this week, where are you going?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think Neighbors you got to have some offense to beat the Chargers, right? It's not, you're not going to win a 17-14 game. So the offense, they're going to have to push the ball down the field. I think his rushing prop is probably not bad also there, especially early in this game.
How about this one? Overseas we go. Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers. Who had that on your bingo card about a year ago? Going to tee it up overseas in this game. By the way, Minnesota is a favorite, -2.5 over the Pittsburgh Steelers and a total of 40.5. Minnesota looked spectacular last week, I guess, against a really bad Cincinnati Bengals team. Pittsburgh getting it together now. What are we looking at for this game, Joe? Who's the better quarterback here?
Yeah, I hate these overseas games, Donnie. Early starts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just not good. But we have seen a lot of fluctuation in this, right? We saw this line open up 2.5. It was bet down to 1, the Pittsburgh money early in the week. And then, of course, now we're back up to 2.5. I do not think we're going to get this game at a field goal. So, I just do not trust that offensive line protecting Aaron Rodgers against the defense of Minnesota. I don't trust Carson Wentz, but I do trust the coaching staff there and O'Donnell not to ask him to do too much. So I think it's advantage Minnesota. I think they're right to be the favorite. Pittsburgh, lucky to have been able to win that game in New England. I would take the shot with Minnesota in this one.
A couple banged up football teams come into play here between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles opened up as a 3-point favorite. That now sits as a 3.5-point favorite towards the Eagles in a total of 44.5. Hot, muggy, humid. That's what it's going to be on Sunday. Baker Mayfield battling a little bit of a bicep injury. Won't have Mike Evans, but possibly getting back Chris Godwin. What plays out between Philadelphia and Tampa Bay, Joe?
Not just Chris Godwin. We talked about this on our spread lines. Also, Tristan Wirfs, the number one protector here, one of the best offensive linemen in the game. He looks to make his debut in this one. And we had mentioned it. This is all about Todd Bowles and his defense versus Jalen Hurts and the offense. And Todd Bowles has won this throughout Jalen Hurts' career. And this is tough. I don't think the hook is going to be available on Sunday. So if you like Tampa, now's the time to grab it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to play this game because the props could be immaculate in this game, or you can go the wrong way. Hey, which Philadelphia Eagles the offense shows up the first half against the Rams or the second half against the Rams? And you're right. Heat and humidity in Tampa has affected the Philadelphia Eagles. They actually flew down early this year to try to change that and get a quick practice in. More football, hour number 2. Let's go, people. And we might be looking at, the national game, 425. It's the Ravens taking on the Chiefs, 2 3-0 teams fighting for AFC supremacy. 2 teams looking like they're on life support at this point, both sitting at 1-2. This game's going to be played in Arrowhead, but the favorite is not the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the Baltimore Ravens at a -2.5 price point and a total of 48.5. Getting a little bit healthier, the Kansas City Chiefs. Xavier Worthy expected to play in this game at wide receiver for the Chiefs. But the Baltimore Ravens, they've been scoring points. They've just been giving up way too many points here. What happens on Sunday afternoon, Joe? Ravens, Chiefs.
Yeah, this is a tough one here. I mean, that's a big total as well. And now the second time in 4 weeks here that the Chiefs have been a dog in Arrowhead, which is not something we're very used to seeing here, Donnie. So it's not great news defensively for the Ravens. We know that. If this thing turns into a shootout, I don't want to be holding an under ticket, Donnie. And this thing might very well turn into a shootout at some point. So I might only be looking at the over in this game and forget about the side.
Yeah, maybe get on track here for Kansas City, who picked up their first win of the season last weekend against the New York Giants. Didn't have to do much because the Giants were terrible on offense. But Kansas City does have a better defense right now than the Baltimore Ravens. Coming into the season, I really like the Ravens, but something has to give. That Baltimore offense is going to move the football. Let's just see if they can be engaged in this game by Patrick Mahomes. You take a look at the touchdown prop scoring market. Of course, it's going to be Derrick Henry at a -170. My question to you is he going to score a touchdown, or is he going to fumble the football in a key moment again?
Yeah, well, that's the big question, right? So Derrick Henry, though, they're going to keep feeding him one way or the other, Donnie. There's no way around it. Andrews is interesting. They finally seem to be back on the same page, him and Lamar. But the problem, Donnie, is that Isaiah Likely, looks like he's going to make his first start of the season as well. So, still like Andrews, though, with that kind of rapport. Wouldn't shock me at all if he gets in the end zone.
Yeah, that Undertaker clip coming out of like the casket. That was Mark Andrews last week. Like, I'm back. people, 2 touchdown catches and a lot of usage here. We'll see if that continues, where who has the better tight end in this game? Is it going to be Kelsey or one of the 2 tight ends that we have for the Baltimore Ravens? Moving on, we did spread lines a little bit earlier, Joe, and that included the Washington Commanders and the Atlanta Falcons. Here, slight favorite for Washington on the road. We're waiting to get the final word on is Jaden Daniels going to play in this game. But after the way Atlanta played last week, sometimes they do even need a quarterback to beat the Atlanta Falcons, Joe. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there is already finger pointing going on in Atlanta in the coach's room. Raheem Morris, not exactly the answer like they thought he was going to be coaching this team. Plus you got $180 million backup quarterback on the bench, and you can't throw any touchdowns to wide receivers on this team. So I had said, Donnie, 3-0 to the under Atlanta, 3-0 to the under in the first half, 3-0 to the under in the second half. I'm just going to keep following that trend and look at the under here in this one.
They were so bad, Joe, last week. And we're talking about the Atlanta Falcons, where now you're at home. It's like, okay, we're at home. You tell me this. 2 3-and-outs into this football game. Are they chanting, let's go, Kirk Cousins, clap, 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 clap. I mean, tough time here for Raheem Morris. You can't be embarrassed at home. You need to step this one up. Talking about here of doing the embarrassing, that was the Carolina Panthers last week. 30-0 victory. That was one I didn't see coming here, but now they're going to take on the New England Patriots, and the Patriots are a 5.5-point favorite. Christian Gonzalez looks like he's closer to returning. They're all-world cornerback here. I see a nice effort from New England. I'm a betting man. I'm going to take Carolina to get beat by a touchdown or more. Give me those New England Patriots.
Yeah, listen, the Patriots have figured out ways to lose games. It's a very young team here. The fumbling is not good. But I'll tell you what, too. I mean, I think we might have stuck a fork here in Carolina, who the first 5 quarters of the season, Donnie, they were outscored 36-13. Ever since then, they have outscored their opponents 49-17 in the last 7 quarters here. So the confidence is building. They are getting better. And if New England can't hold on to the ball, then you're going to give Carolina an opportunity to win this game.
Let's see if New Orleans can hold on to the football for more than 30 seconds if they take on the Buffalo Bills. Looks like it's a de facto blowout. Why even watch the game, Joe? 15.5-point spread here for the Buffalo Bills. A total of 48.5. You saw last week New Orleans got blown out in Seattle. The expectations are for another blowout, but this is the NFL. It's a week-to-week league, Joe.
And listen, I don't get it, Donnie. I mean, we're not even in October, and we've got a dog of more than 2 touchdowns already. Like, come on. Not to mention, I gave it out in the spread lines that Coach McDermott, as this kind of favorite, double-digit favorite with Buffalo, not good. Only 2-9 against the spread here. There is literally no reason for Buffalo to try to go out of their way and do anything other than just win this game.
Cleveland might have the best defense in football. Detroit might have the best offense in football. They collide at 1 p.m. this Sunday, and the spread close to double digits, if not double digits, depending on where you're shopping at, between the 9.5 and the 10. The total of this game opened up at 46.5. That's also taking a backtrack, Joe. 44.5 at most outlets right now. Great defense, great offense. The question, though, is can Cleveland do enough on offense to win this game? I guess they did last week with 13 points. 13 points ain't going to save you in Detroit this weekend, Joe.
No, and I love the fact that your emergency quarterback is out there telling everybody how all the backup quarterbacks in the NFL are awful and he could be better than that. Like, what are we doing here? Somebody shut him up. In the meantime, though, that defensive coordinator and defense for the Browns and Jim Schwartz, fewest yards overall on the ground this season. They're going to force Detroit and Jared Goff to try to beat them. Don't beat yourselves, Detroit. That's all I'm going to say. Don't beat yourselves.
I'll tell you what I'm interested here, because you need to play keep away from Detroit. Like, Cleveland is not entering into this game going like, Flacco, 50 pass attempts. Let's go toe-to-toe, see what we can do. That's not happening. I'll tell you what I have liked, though, since coming into camp really late. Quinshon Judkins, he's the lead dog there, 57.5 yards. It feels like to me, Joe, the correlation is if Quinshon Judkins gets 60-plus yards, they can probably hang around. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but if he gets 30 yards, Joe, they're getting blown out in this game.
Donnie, look at the spread. The total opened up 46.5. It's down to 44.5.
Yep.
Really? Double digits?
Really? We'll be back after this break talking more NFL action on Sunday. Don't you go anywhere. It's the Grid, baby. I don't know how they're doing this right now, Joe. And who am I talking about? The San Francisco 49ers, unbeaten on the season, losing more players by the weekend. They're going to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they are a favorite of a -3.5 at home. A total that's listed at 46.5 to 47, depending on where you're shopping at. We're not sure exactly who the quarterback is going to be, but trending towards a return from your starting quarterback. And no, it doesn't mean it's going to be Mac Jones. It's Brock Purdy. How do we play this out? Because I seem like I have an affinity for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think this game is going to be close, Joe. Give me the 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Jacksonville's defense has really been the story for them thus far, giving that offense an opportunity to win some games. And then you've got, of course, the 49ers battling injury after injury. It does look like Brock Purdy will be back here. And, of course, Mac Jones dealing now with a knee injury. So, again, as long as you have Christian McCaffrey there, you're good to go. But losing Nick Bosa, yikes, that is going to be a tough one. I would grab the hook while it's available, Donnie. We're going to see if Liam Cohen is really the difference maker for Lawrence and company here in Jacksonville this weekend.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this game coming up because I love everything I see. Like, the Rams should have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles, but they didn't. And, you know, it's an East Coast game. Now they got to fly back and say, we should have beaten the Eagles, our rivals here. We can't get over the hump. But now you have the Indianapolis Colts who come to town unbeaten, where you just can't say, it's the Colts. You know, just sooner or later they'll lose. They're not losing. They're playing great football. The favorite is the Rams at 3.5. The total is 49.5. Is this a game where every week we still wait to believe in the Colts? Or can they actually go into LA and pull this minor upset?
I don't buy it. Although, listen, we've seen nothing but Colt money so far. This one opened up at +4 for Indy. It's now, like you're seeing there, 3.5. And you're talking about a Colts team, Donnie, that still has only punted once with Danny Dimes as their quarterback. But look at who they've played. That is not what they're going to be seeing here with the Rams, who know they lost a game last week that they should have won here. I expect a big effort from the defense of the Rams here, and I think we'll finally start to see a little regression here from Danny Dimes.
Okay. 425, your action still on the West Coast here. The Vegas Raiders and Geno Smith taking on Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Bears looked pretty good in that last win against the Dallas Cowboys. Now they take their show on the road. This line opened up, Joe, 2.5 towards Vegas. That's now down to 1 and 1.5, depending where you're shopping up, at a total of 47.5. Do the good vibes continue for the Chicago Bears on the road? Or was that one weekend? Yeah, it was the Cowboys. Everybody lights up the Cowboys, Joe.
Two teams that I do not like, don't like the quarterbacks. I just holes everywhere. If I'm betting this game, though, I'm betting it with the Bears up and over to 7.5 and a 6-point teaser if I'm betting anything. But this, to me, is just a ugly game. I am not buying that Ben Johnson has finally figured out the Bears offense with Caleb Williams. I think it's a teaser or a pass for me here.
UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. And we're going to talk about another ugly football game, Joe. Tennessee and Houston. I'm putting people to sleep out here. Cam Ward, CJ Stroud, 7.5 for Houston. Sometimes they're lucky to score even 7.5 in a football game. But a bounce back should be on the way. And look at this total, 38.5. CJ Stroud, you want to start playing? Hey, offense for the Texans. You want to move the football? This is your chance to do it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they played the Rams and the Colts the last couple of weeks, the Titans have, and you can clearly see there's some growing pains going on with their rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. They were outclassed. The problem is, what offense here of the Texans are we thinking is somehow going to bulldoze this team in a divisional battle? Absolutely not. Listen, he is broken right now, CJ Stroud. All reports, read the interviews, man. He's like, absolutely not. They can't run the ball, Donnie, at all. And you want me to lay over a touchdown with them? No. If I'm doing anything, I'm bringing the Texans down in a teaser and just hope they score enough points to win by 3. But, yeah, no, can't trust laying a touchdown with a Houston team that can't run the ball.
Some saying Ticketmaster is having problems with this game, Joe, and not because they have sold out tickets they can't distribute. It's because who wants to show up? Monday Night Football, your arch rival comes to town. It's the Jets and the Dolphins. Woof! Hold your nose. A 2.5-point favorite here from Miami as we wait for Justin Fields to be cleared to be the quarterback for the New York Jets. You can't get enough of this game. Is this what they're focused on? Not the opening for the Miami Heat season, not another season here for the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, not your number 2 in the nation, Miami Hurricanes. It's the Miami Dolphins. Prime time on Monday, Joe.
This is just great. Can't we flex out of a Monday night game in week 4, Donnie?
Why they gave you 2 of them?
Goodness here. Listen, but the reality is, look, Dawson covered last week against the Bills, 11.5-point favorite. The Jets ended up getting their cover. So it doesn't matter who wins. It's who covers here. I'm not sold that Fields will be back. I think Tyrod will have another shot here. And call me crazy. The Jets are the side here. I do not believe that they are losing to Miami in this spot here. We've got one organization with a game plan and a new culture, and we've got one that is, well, I don't know, one game away from being absolutely blown up and start from scratch. I'll put my money on the Jets on this one.
The mini buy for Miami, though, Joe. Waddle's last stand out there. Tua Tagovailoa. Hey, we covered against the Bills. Like, you're hanging that moral victory up here. I'll tell you got no moral victory last week for the Cincinnati Bengals. What was that? Jake Browning going to save the season. Jake Browning might not be your quarterback next week, how bad he was last week and how bad the rest of that team was. Favorite for the Broncos, the doubleheader on Monday Night Football. This is game number 2, Joe. 7.5-point favorite for those Denver Broncos and a total of 43.5. You're not supposed to be as bad as you were last week for the Bengals, but is anybody rushing in saying, this is the week they show up, Joe?
No, I am not. And Denver just continues to figure out ways to lose games here. Another good teaser opportunity with the home team. Get them down to 1.5, Donnie. And I think you should back an early game in a teaser with this Denver game in a teaser, and you should be good to go.